Hello everyone, you're watching PC Helper and welcome to another video in the Python 3.9 tutorial series. If by the end of this video you feel like you have learned something today, then please leave a like and also don't forget to subscribe to PC Helper for regular content. So in this video we'll be talking about the concept of constructor in inheritance, or we can say init method in inheritance. So in the previous videos we have already talked about the concept of inheritance and the concept of init method in Python. But in this video what we'll be talking about is if we have a parent class and a child class, and if both of these classes have an init method inside them, so when we will call the child class, we have to see which init method will be executed and how can we control that which init method should be executed. So in this video we'll be talking about that only. So in the last video we took this example to understand the concept of inheritance. So if you haven't watched this video yet, then you can watch this video first and then come back to this video. So here we had three classes, first, second and third, and the third one was inheriting from both the first and the second class. So let's just make a few changes here. So let's say the third class is inheriting from the second class and the second class is inheriting from the first class. So in the first class, let's say we have an init method defined. So let's just define an init method. We have already learned about init method in one of our previous videos. So if you haven't watched that video, then watch that video first. And it will just print init of first. So this init method will just print init of first. And now let's just remove all these objects from here. And here let's just keep x is equal to first. That means that this x is an object of first class. And we are not calling any methods now. We will just execute the program. And we know that init method is executed as soon as an object is created for that class. So we got init of first as an output. But now let's say x is equals to second. So now x is an object of the second class. So now it is an object of the second class and there is no method, init method inside the second class. But the second class is the subclass of this first superclass. So now when I will execute this program, now also the output is the same. So now as soon as an object is created for the second class, now the init of the first class is now automatically the init method of the second class too. And same will happen for the third class because the third class is inheriting from the second class and the second class is inheriting from the first class. So now the init of the first class is also the init of the third class. As you can see, init of first is printed when an object for the third class was created. But now let's say class second also has an init method of its own. So let's just copy and paste it. So let's just copy this function, copied and paste it here. And here init of second should be printed, init of second. So now we have an init method for the first class, an init method for the second class. And now we will make an object for the second class. And now the confusion here is that which init method will be executed? Will the init method of superclass be executed or the init method of the second class only will be executed? So now when I will execute it, you can see init of second was executed. So when there's an init method of this second class and an init method of a superclass, the priority is given to the init method of its own class. So this is how it works. Now let's just say we want to execute both of these init methods together. So whenever we are making an object for second class, we want to execute both of these init method of class first and class second together. Then what we can do is, so we know that whenever an object is created for the second class, this init method will be executed first of all. So inside this init method, we can use a keyword called super. So what the super keyword will do is, it allows us to call any method of the superclass, that is the first class in this case, and second class is the subclass of the first class. So what this super keyword will do is, it will allow us to access any method of the superclass at any instance of time. So we will use the keyword super and after it we will write a dot. And after it, we will just use init method. So now whenever the init method of this second class will be executed, first of all, it will execute the init method of superclass, that is the first class. So init of first will be printed. And after that, print init of second will be executed. So now when I will execute this program, you can see the output. The output is init of first and then init of second has been printed. So till now we have learned that if first class and second class are two classes in a way, that first class is the superclass and second class is the subclass, then the init method of the first class will automatically be the init method of second class. But we have also learned that if both of these classes have their individual init methods, then when we make an object for this second class, then priority will be given to the init method of this class only. But still, if we want to execute the init method of the superclass, we can simply use the super keyword inside the init method of the subclass, and we can simply write super.init, and then init method of first class will also be executed. But now let's take an example where we have a third class, and this third class inherits from both first and the second class. So this is an example of multiple inheritance. And here let's say this third class also has an init method. So we'll make an init method for it, and we'll simply print let's say init of third. As simple as that. And now when we will make an object for this third class, we know that init of third will be printed. So now I've executed this program and init of third has been printed. But now there's an interesting question. Let's say we call the init method of the super class in the third class. So we are calling init of super class in the init method of the third class. But now this third class have two parent classes, that is the first and the second class. So the question here is, which init method will be executed here? So first of all, let's just make some changes to the init method of second class. So now the init method of first class prints init of first, init method of second class prints init of second, and init of third class will first of all print the init of super class and then print init of third. So now the question is, which init method of the super class will be executed? So now let's execute this program, and init of first was printed and init of third was printed. And the reason why this happened is because this follows MRO, or we can say method resolution order. So according to method resolution order, priority is given from left to right. So as we can see, first is written on the left hand side and second is written on the right hand side. So if I'll interchange it, if I'll write the second class on the left hand side and first class on the right hand side, and now when I will execute this program, you can see init of second was printed this time. So it follows method resolution order, which gives priority to the left hand side. That's why when we call the super classes init method, then the priority was given to the class which was written on the left hand side. So this was the concept of constructor in inheritance or init in inheritance. So for this, first of all, you have to watch the video on init method I've already made. I've also made a video on inheritance, and then you have to watch this video, and then everything related to init method, inheritance, and init method in inheritance will be cleared. So if you have any doubt, you can write in the comment section. If you like this video, then please leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.